say that Kristian is one of the founders of Tagion, one of our partners for this event today. And maybe you would like to share a little bit about your own bio so people understand what's your background.
I would absolutely be happy to. I'm not quite as old yet as here, I believe. So it's a bit shorter, but we are starting. I'm from Denmark. We have a dark sense of humor. Kristian Vestergaard. I have been working for quite some years in a lot of enterprise IT. I've been working with London Stock Exchange and some of the big Nordic banks as an assigned analyst through IBM. And I've worked with Ørsted lately, the windmill company. And since 4.5 years, I've now been working inside our industry, so to say, working on a very exciting project, Tagion, where we have an aim to make payments really, really easily done by anyone, anywhere in the world. To do that, we have had to build our own layer 1 solution, and we've made our own layer 2, and we're also building the utility on top. So we're also building the applications that makes it easy to move money around. That's what we're doing. And
so I think in the big picture, if you think about payments, there's a number of different market segments, right? There's the sort of card payments, and there's account-to-account payments, and there's cross-border payments, a number of others. And what you see happening as a result of the technology that's come to market over the last 10 years is those segments are colliding, right? It's all effectively becoming one network. If you think about the payers and payees, they're not interested in managing multiple payment networks. They're interested in managing a single point. They're interested in getting more value when they send a payment or receive a payment, meaning you're seeing technical integration is mandatory, and the importance of data, which is used either to initiate a payment or reconcile a payment once it's received, is becoming much more valuable than actually the clearing and settlement of the payment. So I think in the big picture, the value of moving money is going towards zero, and the value of the data about moving money is where all the money's going to be made in the future. Right. I'll add one thing to it. As evidence of this, in the last 2 years, you've seen more mergers and acquisitions activity across the payment space than pretty much any other segment of the economy. You've seen more fintech or paytech unicorns grow up in the last 2 years than any other segment of investment.
So that's a vertical integration for you, and that's going towards the streamline one.
The margins in payments are up for grabs, and so folks are investing to go get those and crowd out, everyone else. They want to be in a $125 trillion market. They want to take half the competitors out and capture half that value for themselves.
You can see it differently. You can see if we look into how the current fiat-based systems, how they're working, where most of the big banks are working with their own mainframe systems, and they have all these protocols that need to talk to each other to move money around. We see how that works when we go here and we're foreigners. We spend some money, and it can take a few days before we actually see how much we spend in the bar or wherever we were. What we have under the current system at the moment, and that is what we all in the DeFi world would like to change. And certainly also the aspect that there's a big problem with money being tied to politics in a lot of the world's countries, especially in the second and the third world countries. And that's where we want to come in, and we want to create a system that is truly decentralized and that can help with moving all those transactions around for both businesses, banks for the matter, but also for peer-to-peer transactions. So we are trying to actually target the whole shebang, but we're starting with peer-to-peer payments because what we believe where we will be able to get our foothold, that is on making it very, very efficiently to move money between you and I and to pay for bills and so on and do all our daily finances. Correct, we have a crypto on top of the system, Tagions, and the features we believe that money needs to be able to be used for payments is that we need for the money to be in the head of the consumers and the head of the users. It needs to be stable, and being stable means that when I go and I buy the same type of groceries, milk or bread, whatever it is, when I do that year after year, I pay approximately the same amount of money every time. And what we are doing is that we are just about to launch the network. We've been very silent about what we're doing, but we're just about to launch. We'll go on market conditions for starters, meaning that we will have supply and demand controlling the price, like most other cryptos out there. But then when we have some volume and when we have done some burn-in testing, then we are going to apply algorithms that will work like national banks did in the old days, burning money when there's a low tide and helping to print more money when there's a high demand in the network. And by that, we believe we can stabilize the price, the intrinsic value of tokens. We are not pegging the coin against anything. So we're using a term that's called velocity of money, so the throughput of money in the network over a given time period, as the main parameter for how we measure how much money is being spent. And then you can compare that with the number of people that are transacting or the number of transactions. And you can use that to add more money into the network through algorithms or remove money if that is necessary. So it's a very different approach, but we're not pegging to anything. And we, as it needs what we're building, we want it to be truly decentralized. And you cannot decentralize anything where you are asking an oracle about what is the US dollar value today, or an oracle for anything else for the matter. Yeah, so if we take something like what Facebook has been doing with Libra and Diem as an example, where they have this idea about pegging the value of what was first Libra to a basket of money, so the average value of some of the biggest currencies in the world. That actually sounds quite clever. The thing about it is that there's no currency in operation today, there's no country in the world where that has not at one point in time in history have their own fiat currencies going bankrupt or going down to zero. So all fiat currencies out there, they are living an unstable life, and especially around the world. So having this basket, this idea about pegging to a basket of money, it's actually, we believe it's quite a dangerous thing to do. We believe money they should have intrinsic value in themselves. And also what Libra would be doing and others that are pegging to the dollar is they are asking oracles, so they are asking third parties some form or shape of network or instance where you can go and get your dollar exchange rate today. And that means that even though you're saying you're building decentralized technology, that's what a lot of them are doing, you're actually asking centralized.
It remains dependent on the outside input.
Yes. Yeah.
Thank you.
And thereby not fully independent.
So we can, there's a long way to go around the philosophy of all of this stuff. But the fact of the matter is, I think for the next X period of time, countries or civilization is not going to allow money to exist without controls, right? Of some kind, right? An individual, like Diem failed, or they attempted to tie to fiat currencies in an effort to placate regulators so that they could be the one world currency, and they were shut down.
2 minutes
Yeah,
later,
Facebook. They were shut down at that 3 times, and right. So politicians aren't going to allow crypto to serve citizens as monetary exchange as long as they feel they need monetary controls for the benefit. So AML is simply part of that equation.
But AML is not the biggest problem compared to KYC, I would say.
KYC
KYC is a much bigger problem for.
Right.
Yes.
So I don't know if I'm addressing your question specifically, but there is a much bigger question around what we all agree to for the moment is what civilization is, right? If you need money to move civilizations, there are still governments, whether or not we have trust in them or not, who are going to ensure that when people move value, they're known. So all of those folks that you mentioned, right? At the moment, we're not talking about moving value with crypto. We're talking about moving value between fiat and crypto. So PayPal enables you to buy crypto. Why are they doing that? Because they wanted some of the same exchange fees that Coinbase is getting, right? They know that people want to diversify their investments out of, public equities or real estate or whatever, and want to have, some exposure hedged against inflation. You see the same thing in corporates, right? And other than Tesla, right? My belief, that was just market manipulation. But everyone else who's doing it, corporate CFOs are saying, Starbucks, we need to hedge our treasury against inflation, and it would just be irresponsible of us not to take advantage of this new asset class, right? And some of the folks we spoke before, where they have institutions as customers, that's fueling it. It's like real money, the real economy coming into crypto, which is why we've seen the balloon of prices.
Correct. So you specified right now that it's from crypto to fiat and back, right?
Back, right?
But we know that crypto to crypto is not a problem because it's actually unregulated. Crypto to crypto, there's no KYC, and you can pay anyone in crypto as long as you want.
Depends where you are.
As within the crypto community, there's no problem to make a payment from one person to another, peer to peer. The problem is if to take your crypto into supermarket, right, or to fitness or anywhere else. So you think by if I understood right, I don't know if anybody else heard it, MasterCard and Visa made a statement that they will enable retail payments.
And my belief is, like I believe that Dell Computer will still take your Bitcoin in exchange for a computer. Why did they do that? To avoid paying Visa or MasterCard their 2.9% interchange fee. I'm a little skeptical, but Visa and MasterCard are going into crypto payments so that they can try and retain their 2.9% fee.
Makes sense.
Right? Whereas, taking it as an example, I don't know if any of you have seen this, but Plaid, the data aggregator, they just announced that they would become an account-to-account payment mechanism, which is a direct threat to Visa and MasterCard.
Okay, so if you take that in reverse order, then with the retail payments, the challenge is that what we have today with Visa and Master and the established system is that when I go into a store and I buy something, I take my card and it says beep, and then I paid and I leave. And that is a stellar user experience. And if I have to do that at the moment with almost any crypto out there, I have to go through the Visa and MasterCard system to get the same experience. It's very few places where they're running experiments where you can actually use crypto or try to use crypto in that way. And then you have the settlement issues and you have all sorts of scaling issues with many of the crypto solutions. So I think that is the biggest challenge. I have not followed up on how it is going there, but I've seen that their prime minister or president, whatever he may be, that he keeps on buying bitcoins for on behalf of the.
So back to your point. Sorry.
We need to be at least on par with the user experience of Visa and Master in the crypto world to be able to get anyone out there who's not a libertarian or a free thinker to start using crypto. And to do that, what we are doing at first is that we have a wallet out there that is available that works with our alpha test system at the moment on the app stores. And we have this at the moment working where at least with QR codes and so on, where it gets very easy. But we also have our CTO who has been doing development for Visa and Master, actually developing chips for the systems for 17 years. He has some pretty clever ideas on how we can make the user experience as smooth and easy. And then, of course, a good way in to do this in the beginning would also be to strike some partnerships where you will be able to blend the best of both worlds and hopefully get systems, retail system, point of sale systems to be able to accept crypto directly. And then, of course, fiat next to, because that is needed for quite a long time.
So first phase is from crypto to fiat, like on-ramp. And then the second phase would be for them to accept directly crypto without intermediary.
Yeah, and to make that journey easy, what we are actually doing is that we are making a basic point of sale system for starters, meant for small retailers, where you can accept crypto, and then you can set the system so it does an exchange right away into fiat, because that's what you pay for, use for your groceries, that's what you use for your salaries, at least for now. So that means you can actually support it and you can still pay your salaries. And that's a bridge. It'll take some time. We are almost 5 years into our journey. The next 5 years is all about getting the system out there and getting adoption, getting people to use what we're building. So, and getting the system stable eventually. So you have this, you want to use crypto, you're there to use crypto. Yeah, that's a very good question, and one many have tried to solve. We are using, it's not a blockchain, it's directed as a graph, where we're using Hashgraph for consensus. And you may know that from Hedera, as an example. They are actually doing quite a lot of transactions and throughput and good proof of TPS per second. What they are not doing is they are not running decentralized. That's our unfair advantage, is that we have invented a way to get a Hashgraph to work properly decentralized. And that's our claim to fame, or our play, that is that we have a very, very strong transaction engine that can actually move the transactions. And another thing that it also can do, what you can do with a Hashgraph that you can't do in blockchains, is that you have order of transactions, and that means that you can use it for some of the issues that were mentioned in the first talk that we have today, where you will actually be able to use it for ETFs or the like, because you know exactly what order the transactions are coming in. So we believe that is the best technology available at the moment to be able to create a truly decentralized platform. No, not at present, because we are it's at a very early stage, so we have plenty of horsepowers in the system. But with a system like this, and with many other systems, you can use different techniques to make the number of transactions that you can process. You can double that many times by using sharding or similar techniques, and that has been thought into the architecture from the beginning. So we would be able to handle the number of transactions that you mentioned, being 300,000. I do think that it's only 60,000 that are necessary at the moment to handle the world's payments in fiat. No, on the contrary, there's a small fee to every transaction. There's a cost to using it.
So I still am very biased towards the integration points for the initiator and the receiver. I'll give you one example, a company that I got to profile recently. It's called Routable. And one of the use cases that they use, or that they have, is for the advertising agency for Reebok. Right? Reebok has grown the number of streamers that they have on Twitch and what have you as a marketing channel from 5,000 to 35,000 over the course of 6 months. And they have to figure out how to pay those streamers every time they say the word Reebok. Right? And we're talking about, millions of payments ultimately, and current payment technology, regardless of the transport of the value, can't support the integration at the two ends. And by creating those integration points, again, regardless of the transport of the money, we're creating new markets. It's fascinating. So that to me is what gets exciting, is when you take, the systems for moving money have always existed outside the systems for generating the transactions, right? And this technology, this next phase, is about making that an end-to-end, seamless, automated process. And that's the exciting part to me.
So I see that what is happening at the moment is that there's sub-maturing of the solutions that we are working with, a lot of us in the DLT space, where we're starting to grow out of this baby stage, so to say, with a lot of these platforms that are quite shaky and that does not really stand the test when many use cases show up and it becomes a success. They basically drown in their own success. So I think that over the course of the next 5 to 10 years, we're really going to see this mature into something that will be a part of the foundation for economic transactions and for all sorts of other value transactions. That I have no doubt about it. And I also do believe that we are going to be one of those cornerstones in the future of finance with what we're doing, because I don't see how the current fiat system, how the technology, the architecture, how it can possibly support what is needed in the future from all these great, exciting new innovations.
All right, thank you very much. Kristian, thank you very much, Mike. It was a really great exchange. Thank you.
Thank you.
So,
Thank you.
Yeah, just.